Hey guys, let me ask you an honest question. Why do so many people say they want a second source of income, but never actually build one? It's not because they're lazy, it's not because they don't care about their future, and it's not always because they do not have time. The real reason is something most people don't want to admit. They keep waiting to feel ready. They believe there will be a better time to start, a time when work is less demanding, when the bills are under control, when the family needs less from them, when they have more energy, more confidence, and fewer distractions. But that time rarely arrives. Look, life does not suddenly clear your calendar and say, now you can finally work on your future. Usually, one problem gets solved, another one takes its place. The vehicle needs repairs, something changes at work, the cost of living goes up, a family member needs your help, and before you know it, another 6 months are gone. Then another year, and that's how people end up putting their future on hold. Not because they do not want something better, but because they are waiting for that perfect time to begin. And that perfect time never shows up. And I understand that. Look, starting something new can feel uncomfortable, especially when you already have a full life, right? You are working, you have responsibilities, you may already feel like there are not enough hours in the day. The last thing you want is another commitment that takes even more time away from you. But here's what I've learned. Building a second income does not begin with having time. It begins with making a decision. A decision about the time you already have. Because most people do have some time, but that time is scattered. Look, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, an hour watching television, another hour scrolling through your phone. None of those things seem important on their own, but added together, they can become the time you keep saying you don't have. Now, I'm not saying you should never relax. You need the time to relax. You need time with your family, and you should be able to enjoy your life. But you also need to be honest with yourself. Is everything you're doing helping you to create a future that you want? Or are some habits keeping you comfortable in the same situation? That can be a difficult question because building something new means becoming a beginner again. And most adults don't enjoy feeling like beginners. All right. We are used to knowing what we are doing. We are used to being capable. We are used to having answers. Then we look at digital marketing, content creation, automation, or online business, and suddenly we do not know where to begin. So we tell ourselves, I'm not good with technology, or I'm too old to learn this. I'm not comfortable being on camera. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to have a big audience. Those thoughts feel like facts, but usually they're simply fears, okay, that come with learning something unfamiliar. Look, nobody begins as an expert. Every person who knows how to create content once had to post their first video. Every person who understands automation once had no idea how it worked. Every person who builds an online business started with questions. The difference is not that they knew more at the beginning. The difference is that they started before they felt ready. That is what most people never do. They keep researching, they keep thinking, they keep watching other people building, but they never make the commitment themselves. And information without action does not change your life. You can watch 100 videos about building income. You can save posts. You can take notes. You can tell yourself that you are learning, but eventually you have to do something with what you know. You have to create that first piece of content, guys. Learn the first skill. Follow the first step. Make the first mistake, because mistakes are not proof that you can't do it. Okay? They are proof that you are finally doing it. I made plenty of mistakes. I have tried things that did not work. I have followed the wrong advice, and I have had moments when I wondered whether I should keep going. But every mistake taught me something. Every attempt helped me improve. And every day I continued. I became a little more capable. That is how a second income is really built. not through one perfect decision, but through many small decisions made consistently. Look, the decision to learn today, the decision to create today, the decision to keep going when nobody seems to notice, the decision to protect 2 focused hours even when something easier is competing for your attention. That may not sound exciting, but it's real. And real progress is usually quieter than people expect. It does not always look impressive in the beginning, guys. Okay? Sometimes it looks like sitting at your kitchen table trying to understand something new. Sometimes it looks like recording the same video 3 times because you did not like the first 2. Sometimes it looks like showing up when you do not feel confident. But over time, those small actions begin to add up. Okay? You improve. You understand more. You begin building an audience. You begin creating systems. And eventually, something that once felt completely unfamiliar starts feeling normal. That is the moment many people never reach because they quit during the uncomfortable parts. They mistake discomfort for a sign that it's not for them. But discomfort does not always mean stop. Sometimes it means you're growing. So here's the question I want you to think about. Are you truly unable to build a second income? Or have you simply not given yourself enough time to learn? Because there is a big difference, all right? You do not need to know everything today. You do not need to change your entire life this week, but you do need to stop waiting for that perfect condition. Start where you are. Use the time that you have. Learn one skill. Take one step tomorrow. If you are ready to stop watching from the sidelines, click the link in my profile, enter your email, and get your free copy of our 10K and 30-day blueprint. Watch the free videos. Take a look at the system that I've been using. See how content, automation, and a focused 2-hour workday can help you begin building another option. Then decide for yourself whether it fits the future you want. Because most people will continue saying, one day I'm going to start. But one day is not a plan. Your future begins changing when you stop waiting to feel ready and decide to begin right away.